Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah if you are new here. I'm starting this video a little different because it is Tuesday and I'm about to make some muffins and I want to include this recipe in my next video, but I'm not actually filming for the day. I'm just filming this and then the rest of this video will be like my tomorrow, which is a while ago for you guys, but I have been saying for weeks now that I needed to make some stuff in the kitchen and I keep putting it off. And today is the day that I finally need to do it because I did not get to anything yesterday. So I'm going to make these muffins, share it with you, and then tomorrow I'll do probably some more things. But we are making double chocolate chip muffins. Recipe will be down in the description box as always for detailed measurements and the actual instructions. But let me share the ingredients with you. Flour, sugar, cocoa powder. I have cacao powder, same thing, and it is unsweetened. Baking powder, baking soda, salt, a stick of butter, some vanilla. This is homemade vanilla. The recipe calls for sour cream, but I don't have any and I want to add a little extra protein, so I'm using plain Greek yogurt, and I'll probably just put in a little extra vanilla to kind of mask the flavor of the plain Greek yogurt, 2 eggs, and of course some chocolate chips to make it double chocolate. The recipe gives baking instructions for regular size muffins. I'm going to be doing mini muffins, so I'll just cut back on the time a little bit. Also, it wanted you to put the oven higher for the first 5 minutes and then lower it. I don't know the meaning for that. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to bake them like I normally would any muffin. I will say I've obviously looked at the instructions on how to make these. They're a little more involved. It's not quite a simple dump and go and mix type of thing. You have to like melt water. Oh my gosh. Heat water. Good gravy. And mix it with some of the cocoa powder. Let's go ahead and get this done so I can get my kids outside to play. First, I'm going to find something to tie my hair up and then we are going to make these muffins. Starting out, I had to remove my cast iron pan from the oven. I don't have really a good place to store it, and so I just keep it in there. The problem is, I would say only about 75% of the time do I remember to take it out before I start the oven, which it can be in there. It just dries it out. Anyway, moving on to the muffins, I had to melt the butter, and then I mixed up the dry ingredients, and I added in the cocoa powder, and then remembered I was only supposed to put in half of the measurement, so I had to scoop that out. I don't normally mix the dry ingredients together and then add it to the wet like recipes say, but this one just seemed a little different and I felt like it was probably necessary. Most of them I don't think they are, but I used a whisk and that kind of has the same effect as sifting flour, so I like to do that. Heated up the water, added in the cocoa powder and whisked it together, and then that's where you add in the melted butter, your eggs, your vanilla, all of the wet type ingredients, except the recipe calls for sour cream, but I used Greek yogurt. You don't add that in yet, which is a little different than normal. Normally I would do that. And then you slowly add in your dry mixture until you're about 3/4 of the way done. And that is when you would add in the Greek yogurt or sour cream. I don't know the meaning of it. I was trying to follow directions, okay? And then adding in the rest of the dry ingredients and then adding in chocolate chips. I either did not add enough chocolate chips or just wasn't thinking this through, but a lot of the muffins did not actually have any chocolate chips in them, and so I go in later and add some to the top. This made a lot of batter, and I did 4 batches of this muffin pan, and I have this cookie dough scoop. It's the smallest one I have, and I have since added a smaller one to my Christmas list because it just doesn't work for this pan. There's too much in there, and I had to go back in with a cookie dough scoop, or not a cookie dough scoop, a spoon, and scoop some of it out because even though I wasn't even filling the cookie dough scoop all the way, it was just too much. But I mean, they ended up turning out fine. And then I just take a paper towel and wipe off the excess spray and the excess dripped batter so that it doesn't burn on the top, and then putting them on a cooling rack when they come out. And then that's when I added 2 chocolate chips on top, just so the ones that didn't have any chocolate chips in them still had the double chocolate. My kids love these, and I did end up freezing over half of them, and we've just been pulling them out randomly like during the week for breakfast. Let them thaw the night before, and then the boys eat them the next morning, and they really have enjoyed these, so I would make this again.
Putting the muffins to share. We share muffins.
Good morning. We've made it to the next day. I have obviously not done anything with myself. I'm still wearing my, I can't get my leg that high. Christmas jammies. Have not even brushed my hair yet, but I want to make some egg bites and I want to do it right away this morning. I've been waiting and planning to do it in the afternoon, but then I don't get it done because I'm not in the mood to eat the egg bites, so I don't focus on getting them done. So I'm gonna make them this morning so I can have some for breakfast. I made a coffee this morning using some of Anthony's protein because mine is all gone and I think it's disgusting. So no coffee for me today, and I'll just save that for him for tomorrow. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and spend the day together. We're already, you know, into the video since you saw yesterday's recipe with the muffins, but for my day, I'm going to get my day started and we'll see what we can get done today. But first, let's make some egg bites. Okay, so I use my jumbo muffin pan for the egg bites, and I was using like bottom of the barrel, last things I had in the fridge, scrounging together stuff to make these egg bites. I didn't realize that I didn't have enough stuff really. Normally I would add in some sort of meat. I have chorizo in the freezer, but I forgot to take it out the night before to thaw, so I just didn't mess with it. But I just put in onion and jalapeno into my food processor thing here, some Greek yogurt and some eggs. Cottage cheese also works really well for these to give a boost of protein, and it makes it creamier. And then I just used a cookie dough scoop just so that they would all be about the same size and would cook even, so I didn't have any issues on, you know, differing cooking times. And then I added in this hemp chia flaxseed combo, and I'll give you my thoughts on that here in a little bit. And then I added cheese on top. I just have this little hand shredder, and I didn't feel like getting my big like crank shredder out. I should have just done it because I needed cheese later in the day for something, and then I didn't have it. But I just put a little bit of cheese on top. And I also should have, with these, put the peppers and onions in first and then put the egg mixture in like I normally do. I don't know what I was thinking, but not every bite had like a good ratio of peppers, onions, and the egg mixture. After they're done cooking though, I think I cooked them for about 25 to 27 minutes. I pull them out and put them on a drying rack. This is the second time I've said drying rack. A cooling rack so that they can cool all the way through. And before I put them in the fridge, I did eat a couple as I was making these because I was hungry. That's why I made them right away in the morning. And then the other ones just went in the fridge. And I just heat them up in the air fryer when I'm ready to eat them. And then these dang acorn squash I've had sitting around, I have been given some suggestions on what to do with them. I just haven't made any of them. And I know that they'll last for a really long time just sitting, but I wanted to do something. I have in the past dehydrated carrots and then ground it up and used it as just like an extra little boost of vegetable in different baked goods, things that my children won't notice, but it'll give just a little extra something. And so I decided to do the same thing with these acorn squash. I had a hard time figuring out how to peel it. I finally figured it out that if I cut it into strips and then peeled it, that would be all good. But I have this dehydrator and it is fairly quiet. It doesn't get too hot to the touch. It doesn't put off a lot of heat, so I really like it. I am just cutting up the squash kind of small. I didn't want them huge pieces because then it takes longer to dehydrate, but you also don't want it so small that it falls through the grates of the dehydrator as it's dehydrating, you know? So just, you know, decent sized chunks. And then I turned it on to not the highest temp it could go. I would say maybe around 200, 250. And it ended up running all day, but it has different layers here and you don't have to put all of the layers in. You just use however many you need. And so I had one left over that I didn't use. And then as they dehydrate down, I will go in and combine them, condense them down to less trays so that it is taking up less space for all of the air to dehydrate them, and the process goes a little faster there towards the end. I have put myself together now and gotten dressed and all of that. So the squash is going in the dehydrator. I just tried the egg bites, and this is the first time I've ever added the flax chia seed mix to it, and usually I add that to a salad and I can't tell, but I can definitely tell in these eggs, and I will not be doing that again, so I don't recommend that. It's not bad. It just gives it a different flavor. Maybe if I had more vegetables, or I put more cheese in there, or I had a meat to put into the egg bites, it would have been not quite as noticeable. I just didn't love it, so I won't be doing that again. I'll still eat the ones that I made. Like, they aren't ruined or anything like that. I just had my 2 for breakfast. But I'm gonna go ahead and get downstairs and get school done with the boys, start some laundry while I'm down there. Today I'm just kind of figuring out what I'm going to do one step at a time. So first step, school. Okay, we've done school. What else did we do? I put the egg bites away and cleaned up the kitchen, ran the dishwasher. We went outside and played. We had lunch. I cleaned up lunch. The boys are laying down for quiet time, and I am just working on a project I thought I would share with you. First, we are kind of in the middle of September, so I want to go ahead and get the October bulletin board stuff like printed and cut and laminated and all of that, so that when the end of the month gets here, I'm already ahead of things. So I will show you kind of what I'm doing. I haven't cut any of them out yet, so use your imagination, but I printed out the word October is what that eventually will spell in a yellow font, not very big. I didn't want it to take over the whole board so that we have more space to hang up our art things that we've been doing. And then to go also on the bulletin board for fun, I printed out some spiders, some bats that I'll hang probably around the edge, and then this little ghost with a pumpkin. You can kind of see the different color there. What started all of this, I wasn't actually planning on doing all of that today, but I was already in Canva, so I decided I would go ahead and just do it, so I only have to cut things out once and only have to heat up the laminator once. The calendar kit that I bought that hangs on the wall with the numbers, it didn't come with any holiday cards to put in there. It came with a couple special occasion cards and a couple birthday cards, but no holiday cards. So I made my own, and I just used Canva. It is free. I pay for the like upgraded one, which isn't super expensive, but I have some like money set away for business, and Canva subscription is considered business should I ever make any money on YouTube. But while I have that money in there, I'll use that. If that ever runs out, I'll probably just cancel my subscription. But the reason I'm saying that is because like this ghost is part of the paid. This was already made, I didn't make that. It was part of the paid package. One of the things you can buy just individual things, so if I wanted to just purchase that ghost, I could pay like $1 or $2 for that. We also use it for Anthony for work. So anyway, I made these little holiday cards that I will stick in the sleeve for the day. So I did make these myself. I didn't make like the little graphics, but I put the square together. So we have one for Halloween, a Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas and Christmas Eve, and then a New Year's Eve and like a New Year's Day one. I'm going to cut these out now. I don't think I'm actually going to laminate them right now. The laminator takes quite a bit of time to heat up, and the kids have already been laying down for a while, and I know that they're going to want to get up soon, so I just don't want to deal with the laminator taking forever and then them bumping me. And I'd also like to use the counter, but the dehydrator, which way do I move my arm? Dehydrator right there. It's still going. You might actually be able to hear it too. I haven't opened it yet at all. And I did that around, started at around 9. It's 12, so I actually might go pop it open and see what it's looking like now. Just kind of get an idea. I would guess it has to run until the boys go to bed. And then I need to make my grocery list for camping food. We are gonna go camping. If the storms get too bad or it's too rainy and my kids get really restless, we can just come back home. We're not too far away. So get out there one more time before the weather gets too cold. But it is Wednesday. I don't know if I ever mentioned that yet today. I want to get the groceries bought so that on either tomorrow afternoon or Friday morning, I can get everything prepped and ready to go for that and get working on this stuff. I ended up getting a headache and then laying down for a little bit, but then I was starting to feel just a bit better, and I decided to go ahead and stock these diapers. I came in here to do a diaper change and was like, you know, I got to get it done. So I restocked Noah's diapers, Noah's night diapers, and then Ryder's pull-ups. He only wears these at night or if we're going on like a day trip somewhere where we don't know the bathroom situation. Making chicken Parmesan with gluten-free substitutions or modifications so that I'm able to eat it. So I'm going to be using a gluten-free noodle. It's not a spaghetti noodle, which I know chicken Parmesan is typically served with. It's something curly. So we have that for pasta. I'm going to use my home canned pasta sauce. This is actually our last jar, so I hope I can get my hands on some garden fresh tomatoes yet the end of this year, and get some more canned for the winter. And then the chicken is I'm going to use gluten-free breadcrumbs and not use any flour with it like the recipe calls for. I'll leave the recipe that I found linked below. I'm not really following it. I found it and pinned it on Pinterest so that I could like reference it later, but then when I looked at it, I realized it's pretty much just a basic chicken Parmesan recipe with gluten-free substitutions. So I took those into consideration, and I will just go ahead and make it how I normally do. I'm going to start by getting this pasta sauce on the stove. When I canned it, I didn't let it simmer long enough, and so it's kind of runny. It's not super thick, so I'm going to let it simmer the whole time while I'm making the chicken and the noodles and all of that, and then it should be a little better by the time we actually go to put it on the pasta. One last thing, and then I'll stop chatting. Do not judge me, but I'm gonna use my big like wok skillet to simmer the sauce because I only have like one normal size soup pot that I need to boil the noodles in, and then I have a really small like saucepan, and I don't have an in-between one that I would normally use for noodles because the bottom of the coating started to peel up and get in our food, so I had to throw it away. And so my only option is to use this for the sauce right now until someday I invest the money to get the pots and pans I want. But for now, this will work. Use what you have.
What a beautiful little popping sound that is. So I literally just dumped that into the pan and then let it simmer while I was doing this. I did do 2 chicken breasts. I just trimmed it up and then kind of butterflied it. I would say, you know, a little more than that because it wasn't just 2 pieces, but I did make them kind of skinny and then season them on both sides with salt, pepper, garlic, basil, and oregano, which are just, you know, some like Italian type flavors that I knew were in the spaghetti sauce to mimic that, and then let those sit while I was getting the dredging mixture together. And for that, I have recently learned you do not want to do flour. You know, you don't want to do a coating before the egg, essentially, because what can happen is the breading just slides right off of there and the egg doesn't actually work as a true binder. I don't know if that's... And then to see if your oil is hot, you just take some water from your faucet and flick it into the oil, and if it pops, then you know it's hot enough. If it pops severely, you know it's too hot. You need to turn it down. Super accurate or not, but I've decided to try it. And then one bowl, I have gluten-free breadcrumbs, Parmesan cheese, and same seasonings that are on the chicken. And then the other bowl is just egg with a little bit of water to thin it out, salt and pepper, and then just a typical dredging station. Chicken goes into the egg, then into the breadcrumbs, and then into the frying pan. I did not cook these 100% through the chicken. They were slightly underdone. I mean ever so slightly, because they're going to go in the oven and you don't want to cook them all the way in the oil and then have them overcook in the oven. And you can always leave them in the oven a little longer if, you know, they're not quite done yet. So frying on both sides, getting them pretty cooked, putting them on... During this time, I had the oven preheated and I had a baking sheet in there getting hot. So I'm just putting the chicken on there and then taking some shredded mozzarella cheese. And this is the cheese I had to shred now. So I should have just done the other kind in the morning too. But putting that on top and letting it melt. And we're only in there for a few minutes. It did not take long at all. And then just putting it all together, and I served it for myself with a salad. This was really good and I will definitely make it again. A really good gluten-free option for dinner.
After dinner, Anthony got home and we went outside. They're still out there, but I did a leg workout with him, and I haven't done any weight training in a really long time. I've just been walking to lose weight, and we'll see if I can walk tomorrow. My legs are so tired. I like shaky jello legs. But I came inside because Noah needed his diaper change, and I'm just making the boys smoothies. If you're new here, we make them smoothies before bed to help fill their tummies just one last time before they go to bed. But by a smoothie, I mean we use Greek yogurt. Our favorite is the Oikos 000 Greek yogurt, and we just get the vanilla because that's the only flavor in the big containers. And I put a couple scoops in there, and then we just fill it with milk. Mix it up, and they call it a smoothie. A little protein before bed. The Greek yogurt doesn't, like this 000 doesn't have any sugar in it, so not a big like sweet thing before bed. Yeah, we started doing this with Ryder when he was a year and a half maybe. It was right after he got sick. He got COVID and then like stopped eating pretty much everything. That's when his picky eating started, and I think it's because his taste was affected, and like then he became sensitive to textures. And so to make sure he was getting enough to eat and getting protein, because meat is just not his preferred meal list. So we started it with him, and so we just continued to do it with Noah when he started drinking milk. And yeah, that's just what we do before bed. But that's all I have to share with you today. I did not end up going to town to get groceries. I'll just get them tomorrow. I did get all of the laundry washed and dried. I just didn't get it folded, so I'll save that for another day. I just want to relax tonight. I forgot to mention, I did not forget about the acorn squash. It's still going over here. It's still running. It's been on since 9 this morning. It's 7 o'clock now, and it's very, very close. Still not quite. I think I'm gonna let it run until I go to bed, and then I will take it out and just put everything in a container, and in my next video you will see exactly like what I do with it. But I didn't want you to think that I forgot about it, or I didn't want to leave you hanging, but it's still going, and I'm just done with my night. That's the only other thing I'm gonna do with it tonight is just put it into a container, and I will get back with you. But again, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe before you go if you aren't already. You can also hit the notification bell and be updated every time that I upload a new video, which is typically Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.
And here's a little rainstorm that popped up out of nowhere after I said I was done filming for the day. I'm glad we came inside when we did. It ended up getting really bad this night actually, and tree branches were falling, and it was not a good time. But that's all now that I truly have for you. Thanks for watching.